but we'll probably just ease into it if that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Like, sounds better. I'm like, why is Kristen so nervous? And then 5 minutes before, I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna call me.
Did I make you nervous?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. All right, so these are the ARTY Party interviews for people who are just joining in, never seen this before. And it's gonna be me interviewing artist friends. The idea behind it was to make art with a friend, like in the same room. But since we're in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis, we're doing it through Zoom. But Kristen and I actually worked with each other before and also do our own like little ARTY Party paint night weekly, sometimes only monthly. So we're kind of used to this already. But yeah, so Kristen's joining us from San Francisco. I'm in the East Bay. And Kristen's studio, you could kind of get a glimpse of it already. I've been there before. It's beautiful. You have plants, good lighting, unlike my studio. And then you have your little pet cat there, and you have roommates, your husband, so you always have company.
Yeah.
What have you been doing this week? I mean, it's been a crazy month already, but this week I feel like each week keeps getting worse, or...
I think, yeah, there's obviously downsides to it, but I think it allows you more time to do the things that you want to be doing anyway, right? So,
yeah,
like, been doing a lot more painting, and just like being able to create more work that I wouldn't normally be able to do if I was teaching right now, you know? So, like, it sucks to not be able to be teaching right now, but, you know, there's also like a lot of positives with being able to like have more time to just create work that I want to create and then like experiment more, I guess. Yeah.
I forgot to mention too, so if people see me looking down, it's because Chris and I are going to be working on art while we're chatting. I feel more comfortable talking to people when I'm doodling, so that's kind of where it came from. But at the same time, I figured if it's an artist interview, people might want to see art being made, maybe, or possibly. So if you see me, if you hear pencils like shaking or me looking down, that's what it is. And then I love Kristen's setup because you actually see what she's working on. So,
well, I don't know. I guess you can't really see this. I'm working on both of them, so.
Oh, two of them.
I
Okay.
kind of see them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna bug you later to get a closer look.
Okay, cool.
But you guys also make a lot of good food. Like, you guys cook more than I would ever cook well, or.
Yeah, definitely cooking more now for sure.
What is your favorite meal to make? Like, if it's the best thing that you make?
Oh, I mean, tonight we're making pozole.
See what I mean? Like, I would never make pozole.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
And you had me over, and there's a veggie lasagna. That was amazing.
Yeah, veggie lasagna. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, making lots of bread. Yeah. There's lots of time to cook.
I know, I'm actually cooking more. I mean, it's really sad though, because it's like college food still. So it's like chicken nuggets, macaroni and cheese. But I made my own macaroni and cheese one day. Like, I actually made a roux. And so I was like proud of myself.
That's awesome.
Took some Lactaid because I can't have that much cream or butter, but it was good. I'll do it again. I was going to say, when you're working in your studio, do you have any rituals you do at all? I always have to have a snack, glass of water, and cologne.
Yeah.
I know my ritual already, but.
Yeah, like the cologne. Yeah, having like a candle or incense or like a nice smell. I like to have good lighting. It's nice to like have like my cat or like my husband around just kind of like reading in the corner, you know.
Do you work better if it's silent or with music playing, TV background?
Yeah, I like music, like chill music.
Okay, cool. I think we're the same because we worked with each other before. We're like, let's put on music.
It's like the same music.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know Kristen, hopefully you'll get to know her pretty well. And get your permission, Kristen, to like splatter the page with, or this screen with your artwork, maybe some pictures of you in your studio too, because I've had some pretty good photos, I think, from the last open studios you had.
I think so, yeah, I think you did.
Kristen has her BFA and MFA in studio art, and then you're originally from, I'm going to try not to mess this up, Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan, yeah.
Saskatchewan, okay. What's it like there? Because I've never been to Canada. get alone Saskatchewan?
Oh yeah. It's like mostly prairie, like farm land. It gets really, really cold in the winter, like minus 40 Celsius and Fahrenheit.
I have no idea what that's like.
It's like intensely cold. Like,
I think the coldest I've been in was in New York City. It was 20 degrees. And I was just like, this is crazy.
yeah, so very cold in the winter. I'm from like the biggest city in Saskatchewan, which is still not very big. And then the next biggest city is like 6 hours away.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty like in some ways isolated from other big cities. So even though it's not like a huge city, it has to kind of like pretend to be a bigger city than it is.
And then how'd you get introduced to art there? Like, was there an art scene there that's pretty big, or?
What was that question?
Oh, how'd you get into the art scene there? Was it something that the art scene is big in Canada or where you're from, or is it just something you had to seek out?
Yeah, I mean, I went to the college there, like the university, and I was in the art department there. And then like before that, I had taken like private art classes,
Okay.
like throughout childhood and stuff. So, yeah, like I think drawing and painting was always something that I wanted to pursue. So it was nice that the university I went to actually has a really good art program. So that was nice to have that like in my hometown. Yeah.
Did you, or I wanted to talk a little bit about your art too. So I read your artist bio many times this week, but you've also told me about your work too before. But in your artist bio, you say it explores themes of dissociation, transience, memory, and truth. And I've already told you this before, but it's like the best artist summary I've ever come across. Because like everyone's work, I'm gonna talk about everyone right now, but no, everyone's work, I have a really hard time sometimes like getting the connection between their artist statement and their work.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times I could always find the similarities. And then even in my work though, I feel like it's always a little off. I don't see it completely ever. But then with yours, like your summary, like your elevator pitch, if anything, is just like so spot on. Cause I do feel that like blurriness or fogginess and memory. It feels like, I don't know if I could represent it any better, kind of, I'm always thinking. So, so hats off to you. But I was wondering, how did that start? Cause like your work is photorealistic in my view, but it's like very abstracted. And it kind of deals with like the errors that people would have in photography, like blur or double exposure. But how did that come about? Did you just come up one day, or?
That was a good way to, I guess I'm getting double vocals right now.
Okay.
I just like, I was looking for like ways to visually describe what like depersonalization and derealization feel like. And somehow I noticed like that type of photographic quality where it's like kind of soft and out of focus, or kind of like shaky, blurry. That sort of like illustrated that really well for me. So I want to capture like that type of feeling that comes from looking at something like that, so that you get the experience of kind of like feeling out of body, or like the world is like not quite exactly like real feeling, if that makes sense. Yeah. So like they're realistic in a way, but then something is like a little bit unreal about them. So almost kind of dreamlike. So being kind of in that like dreamlike state, or kind of the idea of like memories being like a little bit like hard to grasp or a little bit slippery, is kind of what I'm shooting for. And then oftentimes I really like sort of the overlapping quality of certain types of like experimental photography. So that like overlapping being like a past and present moment happening at the same time. So like being in the present moment and a memory, sort of feeling like it's existing in the same time period, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. What about the, or when you started referencing photographs more, were you just always working from photographs? Is that kind of how it evolved?
Yeah, I mean, when I started those ones, yeah, because I feel like when I was looking for reference material, I was continually like kind of grabbed by these kind of like photographic qualities that like have that I guess sort of like a nostalgic quality to it.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to like talk about memory and time and transience. And I just felt like that type of quality was like a really good way to like find that, I guess. But you know, since then, I still play around with different types of photographic quality. So I use like a computer, like Photoshop, to kind of overlap images often, and get different combinations of them.
Oh, that's cool. So you're creating your own double exposure.
So like some paintings might have different time periods in them or different places in the same painting. So it's that same kind of idea of a past moment and a present moment feeling like they're happening at the same time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Kristen's work. I'll probably share pictures of ones that I have of yours. We always trade and stuff, so it's always really exciting when that gets to happen. I was trying to think of some questions to ask you, because I mean, I've been in some artist interviews for my own work, and one question that was always asked to me that I thought was really funny was just like, what annoys you most about being an artist?
What
And
annoys
like
me most?
something that happened to me, I'm gonna sound like super negative in this interview, no, but I love getting feedback and stuff. But I think the hardest thing for me as an artist is when people are like, oh, you know what, you should paint. No, I was kidding. But I do like those ideas and I use them still. So while I say it's like, it's more so like, I saw a really cool mug the other day. I think your artwork would look great on it. Why don't you make mugs? And I'm like, I would love my artwork to be on a mug, but it's just, there's a lot of feedback when you're an artist.
Yeah, I get that. And then I guess maybe for me, I think, you know, I don't know if it's annoying or just like one of the facts of being an artist is that it's not always like financially stable.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the most annoying thing for me, is that I know that I want to do this and I want to commit myself to painting and educating in the arts. But, you know, something I realize is that, you know, it can be, you know, financially stable enough, but, you know, who knows? You know, it's like very unstable, I guess, in some ways too, you know, because you don't ever know what's going to happen with the market. And, you know, things like the COVID-19 can happen, and, you know, you just never really know. So it's not always like the most secure profession.
Yeah.
It's a
I think
little,
that,
I think, difficult, right, to like make it happen and keep it going.
I think that's something that's hard to explain sometimes to like friends or family who aren't knowledgeable with like the contemporary art market, is just like that to be a successful artist. If you're a successful artist, it doesn't necessarily mean you're financially successful.
Right.
There's some artists who don't sell their work at all.
Mm-hmm.
So they like have their whole side hustle commercially and then do their, you know, contemporary art. But yeah, it's always hard to explain.
A lot of people that you think that are like making it, they really like have other means of
Yeah.
support it, and no one really, like, you don't know that, you know, you don't know who has that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was at CCA, we visited an artist studio photographer, and she had this amazing studio, and we're just like, this is incredible. And we're like asking right away, one of the brave students asked like, how much do you sell them for? Stuff. And then they came out and said like, well, I only sell like one every few years. And they were like, how do you afford this? And she's like, I have another name that I do professional photography, like commercial photography for like, you know, magazines and stuff like that. So they're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I guess just like finding a way to make it work is, yeah.
Do you have a most memorable experience about being an artist so far?
I think like there's been, you know, I've had some like successes, I guess, that have been, you know, sort of memorable. I right out of grad school, I like really surprisingly won like a major grant from a Canadian foundation.
Oh.
And yeah, I was just like completely surprised when I got the letter, and that's just like always a good memory, because I didn't expect that to ever happen, and I've never got anything that big ever again. But so it was just kind of crazy that happened right out of school. And then I guess I just have like other memories of like when I had like a solo show in Canada, like in my hometown in Saskatchewan. That was really nice because all my friends and family could be there. And like my previous shows weren't, because they were in San Francisco. Like not everybody was able to come to them. So it was really nice to like have a show that like everybody that I grew up with and all my family could be there. So,
did that happen soon after you graduated too? Show or
a few years ago, I think that one was.
Oh, how long was it after you graduated college that you got that?
Couple years, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that grant is awesome, because I think that's the hardest thing, is graduating and not having that validation right away can be really discouraging. Like,
yeah, I didn't expect it at all. So yeah.
Is there any advice, because I'm going to be interviewing artists from different backgrounds, from like student artists to emerging, established. Is there any advice you'd give? That's the train, if you hear it. I don't know if you can hear it. My studio is right by train tracks. Is there any advice you'd give like younger students, like earlier in their career, or emerging artists, to stay productive? Because I feel like sometimes it's hard to do.
Yeah, definitely. Like, how to stay productive. I think, like we go back to like how to sustain yourself as an artist. A lot of people don't necessarily have the means to do that right away. So oftentimes you have to have like another career going on. And it could be a full-time job that has nothing to do with art. I mean, I feel really grateful that like my jobs are in the arts and in arts education. So I think that makes it easier, and I have a good like work-life balance. So I have a lot of time that I can use towards like studio and creating. But I think it can be difficult like coming out of school and being like, oh wait, I can't do this full time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do it in conjunction with a job. But I think it's just good to find ways to be able to structure that and keep it a part of your life, even if you're not doing it as much as you want to. So I think things that we've done that have been and I think you're like a really good inspiration for this, of like,
No.
and I know, but really working and like producing a lot of artwork still, even though you're working full time. So it's possible. I think it takes effort, and you have to find ways that you can do it, like having a studio in your home. Like I'm very thankful to have like a studio space that's in my house. So I can stay up late and work and then just go to bed after, or having a community of artists working together, like when we can paint together. I think that's really helpful to kind of schedule times where you're actually going to like do some work, and then like have people around to give you feedback and just kind of be there for support, right?
Yeah, I definitely feel I'm a hermit, so it is helpful to like have people who are, I mean, I'm extroverted sometimes, but only usually around artists. So it's like, so once I find a group of artists and I'm like, yeah, I'll go to paint night, or I'll hang out and paint.
Yeah, I
think that's great.
Yeah, I think another thing, like with people like coming straight out of school, I think one thing that can be difficult is all the rejection that you get. And I'm sure that, every artist has experienced this, where you apply to a bunch of shows or apply to a bunch of grants and just get all rejection letters. And I think that can be difficult, but like the more you do it, obviously, some of them are going to come through, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like kind of getting used to that feeling of rejection has been helpful for me. So just sending everything off, and then trying not to like feel bad about it if something doesn't work out, because then when 1 of 10 things works out, then it's worth it,
That sounds encouraging for me because I feel like you're always in a show. So like I need to apply more. But yeah, that's great. I remember too, I had, looking at my professors too, they always maintain full-time teaching positions most of the time. So if they're able to be that productive, it's inspiring to be like, oh yeah, I could set aside some time, 5 hours a week. Or do you know how many hours a week you spend typically when you're working full-time?
I'm not teaching right now, but I think, I think when we can paint in a group, that's really helpful. So I think it really differs from week to week, but some weeks will be more time, especially if I have like a deadline. I think that's really helpful too.
I think we work similarly.
Like some days you can just like get home and like paint every day after work.
Yeah.
And other days you can have weeks where you're like, okay, I should like get like 5 hours of painting in. And I think
we're similar like that because I'm better at sprinting, like doing everything all like at one chunk and then painting occasionally, like a little hiatus to gather myself or whatever.
Yeah, I think you just have to figure out what works with your schedule and not necessarily and forgive yourself if you're not as productive as you want to be all the time.
Yes. Because a lot of times you'll see your peers like being very productive and you just be like, it's not my week to be productive.
You just gotta let it go, and yeah, you're doing what you're doing, and that's good enough. But I do try to be as productive as possible, but there's just some weeks that don't end up that way. But
yeah. Do you have any questions for me at all, or anything else you'd like to share? Anything going on, new projects you're excited about, new shows?
I guess all my shows got canceled.
Oh yeah, I know. Postponed.
But I guess I just signed with the online gallery, so
oh yeah,
I'll have paintings up on there soon.
Nice.
So that's, I guess, the main thing going on right now. So we'll see, I guess, what happens with art shows and all that's going on right now.
It seems like a lot of them are doing that, like social distancing online shows and stuff.
Yeah,
not the same, but it is great to still see new work and new ideas, even if it's just a JPEG.
Yeah, so we'll see. We can do some stuff like that, some online shows, I guess. Yeah.
Can you show us some stuff that you're working on? I know some artists don't want to show works in progress, but if you had anything.
I can, let's see, what's the best way to do this?
I'll show you my little goldfishy. I'm going to finish it up.
Yeah.
And then show you guys later.
I guess I have this one. This one's almost finished.
Oh, yeah.
Got that one going on.
Crazy. And then is one side of the face going to stay like overexposed? That's going to be kind of the...
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I can get some of this wall in here, but there's some.
All right, returning to MTV Cribs. see Kristen's studio, like see all her lovely inks, like all nicely set up. I love it.
Yeah, I'm pretty organized.
So good. Me too. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I do have some more lighthearted questions to ask. So if you could kind of answer them quickly, kind of on the top of your head, but also if you want to explain why, you could, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Oil paint or acrylic paint? Now you're gonna make some enemies.
Well, but I like both. So I'm using mostly oil, as you know, for my main body of work is all oil, but I do a lot of acrylic as well. So some other types of work that I do is more like I do like some acrylic pouring. So I think I like both acrylic and oil because I think oil is like a little bit more like blendy and works well for the types of paintings that we're talking about with like the blurring and double exposures. I think oil paint really lends itself well to that. So that's why I like to use oil paint for that. But acrylic, you have so many options for mediums. And I think that's where it's special. So you can get mediums that are like good for like thickening the paint or giving the paint texture or making it pourable. So I don't know. I think I like acrylic for that reason. You can be a
There's
little
so many. I feel like when we started school, it was only like matte medium or something, and now there's everything.
yeah, acrylic mediums have
Yeah.
really come a long way since when I was an undergrad, for sure.
What about mixing with a palette knife or mixing with your brush? What do you feel you do more often?
Man, so I know like, when you're teaching, always like make sure like everyone's like mixing their piles with palette knife. And I do that at the beginning of a painting for sure. Like especially if it's a big painting, I'll make bigger piles of colors that I know that I need and then start it. But later on in a painting, I'm mostly just mixing with my brush.
Yeah, that's how I feel like for me. It's just like anything 10 inches or smaller, I'm like, but if I need bigger coverage, just palette knife, I guess.
Yeah, definitely like mixing. I like kind of like mixing on the fly with my brush because it's just a lot quicker. And oftentimes near the end of my paintings, I'm using like thinner kind of glazing layers anyway, so I don't need a whole lot of paint at that stage. So, but it's not technically not very good for your brush to always be mixing with your brush. But
do you do canvas or panel if you had to choose between the two?
I like panel. Yeah, I do use canvas, but I really like panels. Just like kind of like the surface quality of it, so it doesn't really have any give, and it's like you can get panels that are a little bit smoother, which I really like to paint on like a smoother surface. But I think with panels, like I've had issues with using really large panels. Like I've had problems with them, like shipping them and them getting broken, and so I think for larger paintings, canvas, but for anything mid-sized and smaller, I like panel.
All right, now for some really important questions. What's your favorite millennial slang?
Ooh, I feel like I legitimately use low-key sometimes.
Low-key, yeah.
And I don't know if this one counts as millennial slang, but bye.
Yeah. It totally is. Isn't that like a Kardashian thing, right?
Is it? I don't know.
I've watched every season, so I can't hate.
Yeah, I think I picked that one up from
Bye or Bible. What about favorite emoji to use?
Heart eyes.
Is it? I need to check through our text and see if that's true. No, it's kidding. But that's your favorite one to use? Probably.
Probably, right? At least on Instagram.
Yeah.
Heart eyes are heart. Or cat with heart eyes.
Oh, yeah. With the whiskers. Do they have whiskers on that one? And then more on a serious note, if you could be remembered by one work of art that you've done, is there a work of art that you would want to be remembered by?
No. I guess there's one painting that's like hanging behind me somewhere that's been in my house, mostly because it got damaged and I can't really sell it anymore. I like that one, and it like kind of goes well with my plants. That one's called Versions of Truth. But it has some kind of like overlapping kind of leaves and plant-like things with like the street. I don't know. We can pull it up on here later, but
yeah, I'll post it right here while you're talking about it.
I look at it every day, and I feel like it looks nice in my seating area.
Yeah, that's interesting because my favorite piece is the one I'm living with too. Even though I feel like it's not my best piece, like it's the one I love the most. I want to be known by. I guess
like if we must like them if we want them to be up in our house. And
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad you still have that piece then. That's great.
Yeah, I think, I'm disappointed that it broke, but I fixed it up okay, and I like to have it, so there you go.
Well, thanks, Kristen. It was great seeing you. I miss you so much. We, like I said before, we used to teach with each other for those who don't know, but yeah, so we don't get to see each other that often, but we'll definitely do paint night on here again. On Zoom, it's working good.
Yeah.
It wasn't choppy at all. We were trying like Skype and FaceTime was not working.
Yeah, this works great. Yeah, so we can have some co-painting days on Zoom.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Kristen.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye. Oh, bye.
Especially my studio. Look at. It's like garbage files.
It looks like a studio.
I guess the messy side of the studio. That's probably the best looking side.
Yeah.